Hello and welcome to Voices in the Code. Today with me is my co-host, going by the Manta.
Hello.
Thank you.
I don't know why I froze there. I was like, oh shit. Like, yeah, I should say hi here.
Yeah, as you can tell, he's the little gone on the other side of the table.
I'm the the much more interesting unit. The best unit in Warhammer 40,000.
um, so to get out the pleasantries first before we get into today's subject, first of all, a huge thank you to the artist who drew this piece, going by kitto.paint on X. I think you can also find them on Instagram under the same handle. They did a terrific job trying to based on the little rough draft that I gave them, they made it really come to life. I mean, it's a lot better than I could have ever imagined. So please go check them out. They did a stellar job here, even with drawing the little stupid Gon
The god is
outside.
perfect.
The Gon is beautiful.
The god is amazing.
I am such a fan of how he looks. I couldn't have asked for something better. So please go check him out. Please send him some love. Again, kitto.paint. So today is basically going to be a pilot episode on a segment that I wanted to add to the channel as a little bit more of long form content. First of all, offering a different perspective than just the Admech one, because the best part about playing 40k is all these different factions that you get to interact with, and half the battle is understanding them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So getting a different perspective from somebody who's quite literally a veteran of this game. I mean, he hasn't played all the editions back to back, but they are quite literally the person that got me into 40k for the most part back in high school, I want to
Yeah,
say.
high school. I started playing when I was 14.
Mm,
7th edition. Chaos Space
jeez.
Marines. It was terrible. Literally like unplayable army. But I did take a surprising amount of games off of the back of Nurgle Demon Prince with the Black Mace.
mm. Lord Thundercock, right?
Yep, that was his name. Yep, that was his name. That was his name, and he was monstrous. The Black Mace was not an okay modification.
Right. So, yeah, we have a plethora of experience on the other side of the table here, and me who joined in, I want to say, the mid to tail end of 8th. So only one edition after Admech came out, I believe. And that's kind of when we both started playing 40k again. And I say playing, but I've been slacking in 10th edition, to be honest. I keep saying let's play games, and then I just never show up.
That is true. You do that a lot to me. It's very rude.
Yeah, yeah. So, but no, there's been back in Christmas, which is right now is like what, late February, so
Yeah.
way to be with the times with this one. But back in Christmas, they introduced a new detachment for every army, even the ones that had a codex, and I figured it would be a good idea to go over them now that we've had a little time to see how they perform. And I unfortunately have seen a lot of gameplay with like the Admech one, but I have not played it myself, and that's hopefully something that I'll be doing here in a bit. But with both of our heads combined, I'm sure that we can fire off one brain cell and try to really dig into these. So
I don't know. Look at that
let's
god's
start, yeah.
face.
Yeah, no thoughts behind those
Look at him.
eyes.
There's nothing going on there.
Right on.
All right. With whom are
So
we
why don't you
starting?
start with Tyranids, Tyranid
Oh dear
Warrior
God.
Onslaught? Let's
All
go. Let
right.
me open this up and see what this is.
It is the warrior bioform onslaught. Um, I was excited to see what Grotsmas would add for Tyranids, and then when I saw it, I was kind of pissed off because warrior bioform onslaught sucks.
It's the Space
So
Marine 2 detachment.
yeah, honestly, I kind of feel it because I feel like that's why they made it in so many ways. Because like, oh, warriors are literally all over Space Marine 2, and nobody really uses warriors on the tabletop a lot because they're not bad. It's just that
Hmm.
everything else is better. Like
Everything else is, but well, yeah, I've
their
been on the other
melee
side
is
of.
solid.
Hmm.
Like melee warriors are good. Like they have good stat lines. It's just their survivability is pretty lacking because of that very very depressing 4-up save and
Right.
3 wounds. They just sort of fold pretty hard. Like the 3 wounds in T5 kind of help you, but
Hmm.
the 4-up save is bad. It's just what it is.
Yeah, I'm
um,
too familiar with that.
they are cheap though. It is 65 points, or no, it's 75 points. Yeah, 75 points for three of them. 150 for six. They will
Hmm.
kill anything that they can get into melee with. It's just if they can get into melee, because it's a 6-inch move.
Oh
Um,
wow.
the ranged bioform is rough. The melee is worse, because they get those
Hmm.
guns, and their guns are middling to bad. Venom Cannon has never done anything for me ever. Spine Fists are just bad. It's like laughable that they have that option. It's just a bad pistol. Like why? Death Spitters are fine. They're a pretty good middle ground gun. And then the
Hmm.
Barb Strangler is bad and it doesn't do anything. But the worst part of the ranged Tyranid Warrior is that 4-up ballistic skill.
Oh yeah,
They
I
will
know us
never hit
Admech
anything.
fans.
They are worthless.
Yeah, welcome to the Admech effect too, man. We feel
Exactly.
that. Yeah. I'm looking at Tyranid Warriors now, and 5 strength AP2 seems really disgusting, especially with 6 attacks.
Oh
But
yeah.
damage 1 is what I see that maybe holds him back,
Yeah.
especially with that 6-inch move.
It is rough. Their damage output is pretty bad. The Twin Linked
Hmm.
will kind of help you. They're pretty much only gonna mulch up like garbage, and
Yeah.
sometimes they'll kill some Space Marines, and you'll feel good. They're still up trading. That's like, I mean, that's my favorite thing about Tyranids is that basically all of your units will up trade at almost all points in the game, and your opponent will just feel bad the whole game. Uh,
Yes, the best way to play 40k.
that's how I like to play the game. I'm sure most people disagree, but I like up trading a lot. It's how I play like almost all of my games, honestly. But let me get back to
Hmm.
the warrior bioforms detachment. So our detachment rule is leader beasts. Tyranid warriors and winged Tyranid primes have a 5-up invuln. Um, it kind
Do
of
you think that's
helps.
enough?
No,
Yeah.
no,
No. Okay.
no.
Yeah, it's a lot like
It's
the
useless.
Skitarii.
I mean, you see, when you, I mean, I also play demons, so you will be surprised how often a 5-up invulnerable save stops a wound from happening.
Hmm.
But demons also have a lot more models in their units,
Yeah.
or higher toughness, or a lot more wounds. And this is like that's your rule. But your second detachment rule quotations is that when your Tyranid warriors and your primes are not battle shocked, they have an objective control of 3 instead
Hmm.
of their base objective control, which is 2, which
Right.
is kind of helpful to start sniping objectives, because it does also make warriors battle line.
Hmm.
So it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
You still only have 6 of them max, which is 18, and that 4-up armor plus that 5-up invuln is not going to keep them alive to any dedicated amount of shooting, so they're just going to die.
Yeah, I
um,
think that with a lot of these warriors, it seems that like since you're only able to either take the ranged or the melee, it's like you either get outshot or you get shot out. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
That's exactly the problem. When you're looking at Tyranids, which is, in my opinion, the best faction in the game, the bioforms that are not specifically designed to be shooting that have access to guns are useless at it.
Gotcha.
Like warriors, the ranged form is supposed to be a quote like ranged bioform, but it's not. It's just a Tyranid warrior who like lost the good parts of the unit and got a gun that is bad. And also that it won't hit.
Gotcha.
And hive tyrants are also kind of the same way, because they
Hmm.
also, I mean, they don't shoot at 4+ ballistic skill, um,
Hmm.
but their guns are just, they're not great. I mean, I've always been disappointed by Venom Cannons. They've never done any work for me. Barb
Gotcha.
Stranglers are laughable. uh, Enhancements for Warrior Bioform Onslaught. So the first one we got, I mean, they all have 4. So first one is Neuro Tyrants can join Tyranid Warriors. This could maybe make a ranged unit of warriors slightly okay, because Neuro Tyrants do give +1 to ballistic skill.
Okay.
So it will give them hitting on 3s, but their guns are still pretty underwhelming. And I am quite certain you can only take one of each gun. So if I select If I try to make a full unit of Venom Cannons, you can't do that. So you can only take one of each.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you have a Venom Cannon, a Barb Strangler, and a Death Spitter is probably how I would do it, because those are like the best ones, quote unquote. But none of them are really going to do anything. I mean, Venom Cannons are still only wounded. Like, you're paying a premium to have access to a gun that might wound a Rhino.
So it looks like basically you're paying 10 points to have a Neuro Tyrant lead, which basically just translates to pay for the Neuro Tyrant and these 10 points to have +1 a hit for a Warriors unit. Is that right?
So effectively it's a 115 point enhancement, which is bad. Which is bad.
Oh, it looks like it also gives it to, if the target is battle shocked, add 1 to the wound roll. I mean, it's not reliable, but it is something.
Yeah, so add 1 to the wound. I mean, that is solid, and like you have the Neuro Tyrant in your army, and it will be in your army because you're always going to have a Neuro Tyrant, because that's the only way to make Shadow in the Warp like actually scary, which is something I'm going to crash out about later when we get to Legion of Excess.
Yeah.
Because they literally have Shadow in the Warp, but better, and every turn.
Okay.
But that will be later.
Yeah, I haven't looked too deep into the Legion of Excess.
No, I don't know how I didn't see it before. Like, I don't know how I didn't see it before, but when I saw this, I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah, because I read the detachment and I was like, I don't need to read anymore. This thing is busted.
Yes, Legion of Excess is crazy. And it's kind of like all gas, no brakes at all. Like, it keeps going, being insane.
Gotcha.
Next one, Ocular Adaptation, is 20 points for a Winged Tyranid Prime to give its unit +1 to hit.
Okay. So basically the Neuro Tyrant.
Yeah, it's like 30 less points than a Neuro Tyrant for a significantly more useless model. Winged Tyranid Primes are bad. It's just there's no getting around it. They're just bad. They're just they're bad. They do nothing.
So you basically you have like 2 enchantments basically that say like get +1 a hit.
A Tyranid Prime has 6 attacks, hit on 2s, strength 6, AP -1, D2. It's not good. It's not good.
Okay. Yeah, I think with a lot of these enhancements, you kind of have to think about that the points cost is also taxed on who's carrying it, right?
Yeah, so that's 85 points for that, basically. For +1 to hit,
a bit.
And like an extra attack, effectively, of just bad.
Yeah, that's a bit.
Sensory Assimilation. Winged Tyranid Prime for 20 points. Each time an attack targets their unit, they get -1 to hit. Sounds pretty good. I like that one.
Okay. So the opposite, basically, of adaptation.
Right. This one is just, make actually a unit of warriors quite difficult to kill. Because then you're stacking on that 5-up invulnerable save that you get access to with Warrior Onslaught. And now everything that it hits it, because this is an attack. It's not ranged, it's not melee, It is all attacks. That's actually a pretty difficult unit to kill.
Right. Especially with cover.
Exactly. The final enhancement is 30 points for Advance and Charge.
That's I mean, Advance and Charge is like a great ability, but
30 points for Advance and Charge.
Man.
And what are you giving this to that is like actually what the detachment is about? Because the Prime is not going to do anything with it. A unit of warriors would be pretty decent with it, but even then, would you rather give it to that, or would you rather give it to a Hive Tyrant?
Yeah, can a Hive Tyrant lead anything?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
A Hive Tyrant can. Well, is this unit? Well, I would just give it to a Hive Tyrant for a Hive Tyrant to have Advance and Charge.
Right, the unit is just extra armor for
Hive Tyrants cannot lead
Tyrant
warriors, but they can lead Tyrant Guard. And a Tyrant Guard and Hive Tyrant with Advance and Charge is terrifying.
Yeah. At the very least, the Tyrant Guard is just basically like a shield. It's just more wounds to chip off before you get to the big boy. Because when I see that, I think of like how for CSM with Abaddon, you're just like, let me take some Terminators with him just so it takes longer to get to Abaddon.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it kind of seems like that's what you're doing here. If you were to take that, just like buff up a Hive Tyrant, take some little shitters with him to eat the shots, and then be like, yeah, by the way, Advance and Charge.
Yeah, and then
he's the one that has a Vect, right? Is he the one that has the aura that reduces the cost or increases the cost
Oh,
of
yes.
stratagems by 1?
Yeah, he does.
Right, so you just like throw him into the middle of the field and then be like, teehee,
Yeah.
you know, 2 CP on everything.
I can just ignore you. You're worthless, by the way. Now we get down to the stratagems part. Most of this, and I actually looked through this a little bit when I was trying to like set up a script for my upcoming Hormigón video. So I looked through all of the Tyranid detachments and like tried to see which ones actually like helped for Hormigons a lot, and this one actually had a decent amount.
Really?
So synaptic amplification is in your shooting or fight phase. A Tyranid unit that hasn't fought yet. If it is a warrior's unit, select up to one endless multitude unit from your army that is not battle shocked within 6 inches of that warrior, and they get to re-roll wound rolls of 1.
Okay.
But if it is not an endless multitude unit and you picked a warrior's unit, they also reroll hits of 1.
Okay. So you either select 2 or select 1, but then the 1 gets the double buff, basically.
Yes. However,
Okay.
Tyranid warriors have twin linked.
Oh, so yeah.
So
wait.
What is the point? What is the point?
Yeah.
Wing. I think the range ones don't. Yeah, the range ones don't. The melee ones
so the ones
do.
with the melee. Yeah.
So it's a CP for reroll hits of 1, and melee warriors do hit on 3s already. So I mean, it's a CP for that, but I don't think it's that great. It's a lot better on Hormigons.
Just to buff the Hormigons.
Exactly. Really. I mean, Hormigons get access to no rerolls without additional help.
Right.
So
and reroll wounds because they have like what, strength 3, right? Claws.
Yes. Hormigons are strength 3. Warriors are strength 5.
So I feel like rerolling wounds matters more on them, especially since they don't have twin link, the little Hormigons.
Right. And your warriors do, so they don't care.
Right.
Synaptic micronodes. So in your movement phase, one Tyranid warrior unit can select an objective marker you control, and it's yours. It's sticky. It's a CP for sticky.
Good, but not good. I don't know. I feel like sticky is a great ability, but it's great if it's attached to something already.
Right. When you have to pay
not
for
so
it,
much.
Sucks.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan.
You know, I'd rather have instead of that, like sticky on warriors. Like give warriors something to do. Like it's so frustrating because warriors should have a role for, especially because they did that. Like they created neurolictors and they also created neurogons. Which also do that purpose for 45 points. You get 10 models that you can spread out in a line. They just one of those models has to be in Synapse, and then they can spread it wherever. So you can literally just have extension. 2 Neurogons units on each side of a Neurotyrant, or a Hive Tyrant with one of the 8 million enhancements that give you 9-inch Synapse, or just a Swarm Lord. Swarm Lord has 9-inch Synapse. And that's effectively like 20-inch Synapse.
Jesus.
With no warrior investment. It's literally 2 units of Neurogons is only 20 points more, or 15 points more than a single unit of warriors, and you get more Synapse spread.
A single unit at like 3 count, right? Not maxed out?
3 count.
Jesus Christ.
A max out unit of warriors is 150 points, and you will still get less Synapse out of it.
Jeez.
And Synapse is so important now, because it gives you that 3d6 leadership tests, and it gives you +1 strength on melee.
Yeah, the strength was. I remember it was huge when they announced that, because that was a data slate change.
That was mind blowing to me. I was like, holy shit! Because that bumps Hormigons to strength 4.
Yeah, they're wounding fucking Marines on 4s. That's crazy.
Marines on 4. That is
fucking wild.
Insane. Like, why? Like, I love the change. I love the buff. But did we really need it?
Yeah.
Especially because that critical +1 bumps so many units into like absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, like as far as I remember, it's like Gaunts trade up into Intercessors, like Gene Stealers trade up into Terminators. Like every unit at every tier just trades up for like half the point cost that people are paying for them. It's kind of insane.
Lictors become strength 8.
Oh my god.
Lictors are strength 8. in melee with Synapse. Tyranid warriors are always in Synapse, so they are actually strength 6 instead of that strength 5. But who cares? Because warriors don't really matter. And don't forget, Hive Tyrants are also always in Synapse, because they are Synapse monsters. So they have strength 10 Bone Sword attacks.
Jesus Christ.
Why was this change
fucking
made?
wild.
Alright, back to Warrior Onslaught. Spontaneous Hyper Corrosion. This adds 2 to the strength characteristics of ranged weapons equipped by models in a targeted unit. Yeah, speaking of strength, you want even more? Because we have one Tyranid unit that has not been selected to fight, or to shoot or fight in this phase, gets +2 to ranged weapons, which is actually really good. A lot of Tyranid ranged weapons suffer from bad strength. And it will also add 1 strength to the characteristic of melee weapons equipped by warriors or winged primes. This might actually make winged primes do something of value, because otherwise they won't. And that would bump up warriors to strength 7.
I mean, this really means you're pushing warriors to 2 and everything, like a ranged weapon to 3. Because like the first thing I just looked up was the Exocrine, right? The Exocrine goes up to 9, 10, 11.
Yeah, to strength. Oh god, to strength.
Strength 11, AP 3, damage 3, D6 plus 3 attacks. What the hell, man?
You could bump Carnifex guns, Death Spitters with Slimer maggots in a unit with the old One Eye. They're hitting on 3s. That is 6 attacks at strength 9, AP -2. It is only 1 damage, but that is 12. They have 2 of those. Each.
This was double the shot. Jesus.
And if you're putting them with old One Eye, you're gonna have 2 of them. So that is 24 hitting on 3, strength 9, AP -2.
Jeez.
That probably is going to delete some shitty transport that is in front of them. And that is kind of the point of Carnifexes with Death Spitters. Pyrovores have a strength 8 flamer with that.
Jesus Christ.
With AP -1 and twin linked.
Pyrovores, right?
Pyrovores.
Those are the ones you keep in the back, basically. So like, if somebody tries to deep strike in, you're just like, no.
Pyrovores are the flamer ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Little flamers. That's crazy. And don't forget, one of my favorite units in the Tyranid army that I don't even really use anymore, Zoanthropes.
Fucking god, I hate those
things. Strength 9 blast, strength 14 las cannon, but las cannons are bad, so it doesn't matter. But strength 9 blast.
That's crazy.
D3, boom. Did you like having Space Marines? No. Did you like having Terminators? We actually wound them on 2s now, and we also hit on 2s if we have a Neurotyrant with us, which we probably will, because there's no reason not to. Parasitic Payload. 1 Tyranid warrior with ranged bioweapons from your army that has not shot yet. They get ignore cover.
Good.
And they strip cover.
Okay.
I would like this a lot more if the guns available to that unit were good.
Right. Because it's only for that one.
Plus,
warrior unit.
Pyrovores do this, and they're only 40 points. So it's like, can I just not spend a command point and spend only 40 points and do this like way better?
Yeah.
And it's a flamer, so you can't miss it. As opposed to Tyranid warriors, which hit on 4s and will always miss it. Restorative Impulse. 1 Tyranid warrior unit from your army that is below its starting strength, return a destroyed model. It's decent.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Your warriors have very low model counts, so bringing one back is actually like really valuable. I mean, that's it. There's not really anything else to say about that. It's just good. It's just good. Synaptic Shield. This is the last one. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. 1 warrior unit that was selected as the target of those attacks, or at least one of them. If it is a warrior unit, you can, from 1 endless multitude unit from your army that is not battle shocked within 6 inches of it until the end of the phase. Each time a ranged attack targets one of them, if the strength is greater than their toughness, subtract by 1.
Okay, so it's like transhuman physiology, basically.
Yeah, it's a shield between the 2 of them that makes it so that one of them probably isn't going to die. Although, it's endless multitude, that's kind of their job.
Yeah.
I generally do not like stratagems like this because it stops your endless multitude units from doing their job.
Right.
Like whatever gun it is that they're targeting at Hormigons or Termagants or whatever your endless multitude unit of choice is,
Hmm.
that's the job. That's the point. That's the whole reason that you bought them, is to be annoying.
Yeah.
Like their
So to
purpose is to
basically,
exist.
yeah, to like sink one CP on it is kind of a waste.
I generally, unless the CP is restoring models to the unit, do not spend CP on my endless multitude units. They are
Yeah.
doing their job.
Yeah.
Getting shot is their purpose. Like, that's the whole point. Hormigond's whole thing, they have advance and charge for a reason. Sprint them up the field, run them into something, and just tie it up for at least a turn. That's it. That's good. 65 points to annoy you is great.
Right. Okay. Well, seeing that that's the end of it, I mean, it sounds like you're kind of in the middle of where you want to rate this.
I think if warriors got back a lot of they used to be like kind of like a space marine unit where you could Swiss Army knife a lot of their biomorphs and allow them to do different things at different jobs. But now they're just split into base, like ranged and melee. Melee doesn't even have access to like the options that it used to have, like bone swords, dual bone swords, bone sword, lash whip, and their scything talons. Now it's just scything talons and claws.
Gotcha.
And ranged
Okay.
bioforms, those guns just are just not good.
Like a 1 through 10, what would you give this?
I'll give it like a 5. It has some
Okay.
good. It has some stuff that is good.
Yeah.
It's just that winged primes are not good units, and warriors are not bad. Like taking 3 full units of melee warriors is not bad. Like it's not. It's a lot of points. That's 450 points. But they will kill something in melee if they get there.
Yeah. I think the idea behind this one is kind of like the Timmy detachment of, I want to run a bunch of warriors go burr, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, the Tyranid warrior models are cool. I like the warrior models. I like them better when they had access to bone swords, because bone swords are really cool. But it is fun to just have like a wall of warriors and be like, what are you going to do about it? I mean, most armies' answers are going to be literally anything. But
Right.
that 5-up invuln will probably save you at least 2 models in a game.
Okay.
And you can restore it. It's not a bad detachment. It's just not, compared to the other Tyranid detachments, it is bad.
Yeah, you don't have rapid regeneration in this one.
No.
That's stupid piece of shit.
No, Invasion Fleet has access to such a wide variety of stratagems and enhancements. It's so hard to beat that, and if you want to like turbo game, I know a lot of results are being shown by the Vanguard Invader list and by Assimilation Swarm, and Vanguard Onslaught put up a lot of results. I think even Synaptic Nexus has put up some results. I like Invasion Fleet the most because it's the most versatile. It doesn't require you to run like specific units to actually get stuff out of it. Assimilation Swarm and Vanguard Onslaught do as well. I don't think Synaptic Nexus does, but that's a detachment that is about the first 3 turns of the game and getting a huge advantage, and then the last 2 you kind of fall off, and I don't like that.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, so next we're gonna do my little baby, my little boy, the Halo Street Battleglade. I fucking love this thing, and you kind of know my issues with Admech, but I try not to be too vocal about it. That's why I have a YouTube channel, so
Yeah.
I can bitch to the void.
Valid.
Yeah, because I don't think you know much about like the data sheets that Admech has.
Not even a little
But
bit.
I know whenever we do play, you're just kind of like, huh?
There are a lot of moments where I realize, like, you say how much a unit costs, and then I read the data sheet, like, this sucks, this sucks. This
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah. I think like how much is Exocrines again? They're
An Execute is
140, right?
135 points.
Yeah, they're cheaper than a Dune Crawler, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Because their damage output is gross compared to a Dune Crawler. But yeah, no, I think the Halo Street Battleclade, it's not better than Skitarii Hunter Cohort, which is the one that gives all your Skitarii stealth, right? And it's because having stealth across 100 something models is always going to be good,
Right.
right? Because all you need is enough bodies to take objectives away.
Yeah, stealth on your army is insane.
A little bit. But then the Halo Screw Battlecade kind of brings back what I thought was the best parts of like 9th edition, right? Specifically the parts that let you tweak your Skitarii a little here and there. So you haven't seen this one at all though, right?
I may have gone over it with you briefly when it came out, but that was it.
So, like Admech, right?
Yep.
Shooting army, allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. With the 4-up,
yeah, not really
across the board.
Yeah.
It's actually
right. So, real quick, Noosphere transference, right? This thing basically says it's a lot of text, but to kind of hammer it down is in normal 2K points, you get to choose 2 units in your army, right? And then at the start of your command phase, you get to give these units the Halo Override keyword, right? So you're kind of like mega buffing them. And then you select one of the abilities below. So until you start of the next command phase, those units keep that ability, and then you get to choose 2 more units again at the next command phase, 2 more again the next command phase, so on and so forth, right? Okay. So 2 units every turn. So you get to pick below. This affects both of your units. You don't get to pick one for the other. It's one ability that both of them get, right?
Okay.
So it's basically add 2 to move, add 1 to toughness, advance and charge, or stealth, right? Which the one that really pops up there is advance and charge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's just the best one.
Yeah, and I think it depends on how you want to build your army, right? Because you were in the receiving end of 4 Castellan robots, and when those guys get in, they really get it.
Oh yeah, with advance and charge is horrifying.
Yeah, but sometimes you need like the +2 move to get them up there, right?
Yeah.
So like the fact that you can spend turn 1 staging them and then turn 2 get them in as fast as possible with advance and charge, it's just fucking amazing, right? And the crazy part is that if you know about the detachment, the cohort Cybernetica one, it basically just says, hey, your Castellans that don't have the army rule, they now get the army rule, right? This detachment that is not based around this detachment that is not based around the robots is better for the robots than that entire detachment that was made for them, right?
Right.
So we're going to get to that with the first enhancement that we have here is transocular dyad wafers, right? You give this to the datasmith that leads them, the ones that is able to give them the extra protocols and stuff. So basically when that guy is attached to the Castellan robots unit, not only do they get the army rule that Cybernetica, the whole detachment is built around, but they also permanently get the Halo Override keyword, which is kind of gross because now you get 3 units. Yeah. So you're basically, you never have to worry about like, oh, well, I'm running Castellans, therefore I have to, you know, devote one of 2 Halo units to them. No, they just get it. And it's 30 points. It's really expensive, but they get the army rule and the Halo Override permanently. It is fucking insane.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Wait, I just realized you're saying army and not detachment.
They get the army rule.
Are you telling me that Castellan units, the Admech unit, do not have access to the Admech?
No. They're the only unit in the army that doesn't have access to the army rule.
Do other factions have that? I'm actually curious.
No, I don't think so. Well, the only one I can think of, you played a little bit of Drukhari. Does Drukhari have that? Don't they have like the 3 factions sort of like
They do, but they're all Drukhari units.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, Cataphrons or not Cataphrons. Castellans just don't have the army rule. They just, God knows why.
Yeah, it's like sub-factions. So they're all Drukhari, but like Lilith is a succubus in the Witch Cult instead of an Archon, which is in the Cabal. So that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
So let's read this part right here, right? It says, the way that the army rule for Admech reads is you can select one unit with the keyword Doctrina Imperative, right? Yeah, the Castellans just don't have it. That's why the army rule doesn't apply to them. They just don't have it. So
why?
I don't know. Yeah, good question. So
this is the shooting army.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, you saw what they could do. I mean, didn't they one-shot Bellicor, right? It wasn't over 2 turns, it was over 1.
I think it was a one-shot on Bellicor.
Yeah. They're gross, and that was me playing this subpar detachment. This one gives them advance in charge.
Right.
So.
And then it was like 8 years trying to fight a great unclean one with the other unit.
Yeah.
Where neither of them could kill each other. But I think
and that's
did eventually lose.
This enchantment is like the most expensive and the one that's worth getting the most into, because it's just the Castellans are so ridiculously worded and ruled to where they go from like kind of mediocre to batshit insane, right? Because they just get like so much support here, and it just takes one enhancement. It's kind of it's kind of crazy.
Now you have 3 of them that can all advance in charge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you could run 2 bricks of Cataphrons, or Castellans. I keep calling them Cataphrons. You could run 2 bricks of Castellans. One of them would have the army rule and permanent Halo. The other one you just choose as Halo, but you don't get the army rule. But, you know, thanks GW, I guess.
Yeah, it's so... I just can't believe that they would add a unit to a faction that literally doesn't have army rule.
What? Believe it. It's here.
That's so wild to me.
So the next one is Cognitive Reinforcement. This is the most expensive one, actually. And this one is a slew of buffs, right? Ooh. So, again, the army rule is 2-sided, and it always has 3, right? 2 that are permanent and 1 that depends whether you're within 6 inches of battle line. Okay. So, Cognitive Reinforcement's 35 points. Reads, everything except a Cybernetica Datasmith. The Conquer Imperative and the Protector Imperative are active for the Bears unit. Usually you get to choose one. Now you get to have both for that unit. So that is going to be, you get Heavy, Assault, Weapon Skill +1, Ballistic Skill +1, AP +1 if they're within 6 inches of a battle line, and -1 to hit and melee if they're within 6 inches of a battle line. That is 6 buffs, right?
Yeah.
They're not like, they can't really be stacked with each other, because if you're doing Assault, you're probably not getting Heavy.
Right.
But basically a unit gets +1 ballistic and +1 weapon skill, which is pretty fat. And the best one to use that on is the guys with the jazz hands. They're called the Corpuscari Electro Priests, right?
What? Okay.
Because they are... The Electro Priests are probably the best units when it comes to being like elites, so to speak. Not in the sense that they're tanky, but in the sense that they're like... interesting somewhat. I mean, they're still really weak. So to put in perspective, like the electrostatic gauntlets, their guns is 12 inches, 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 5, AP 0, damage 1. That is piss, right? That does nothing.
That is
yeah. So now you give them, you know, it has sustained hits too. That's the thing that really makes them shine.
Okay.
And then in melee, they're basically the same thing, right? It's 3 attacks, but it's weapon skill 4 this time. Strength 5, AP 0, damage 1. Okay. Now, when you consider that with the enhancement, you're talking about increasing the weapon skill from BS3 to BS2, the weapon skill from 4+ to 3. You're talking about giving them AP -1, and now they get either heavy or assault. Doesn't really matter, right? The point being that you're buffing the 2 most important parts of them, and those parts, the melee and the range, both have sustained hits too. So you are able to put down so many attacks so quickly that anything in front of you is probably going to get deleted.
Right.
Especially because since this needs to go on a bear, the Tech Priest Manipulus has give the unit lethal hits, right? So if you take a 10 brick of these guys, you're talking about 30 attacks with lethal hits. Sustained hits too. That's kind of insane. So they're going to do quite a bit there. But the next one is Sanctified Ordnance. This one's pretty simple. Add 6 inches to range weapons that the leader is leading. And then reroll hazards, right? So that really is aiming towards like the destroyers, the giant guys with the giant plasma guns. We don't run them. They're basically piss. Don't worry about that. 6-inch range really matters because, yeah, the breachers are the hardest hitting unit of the Admech army. They have surprisingly the strongest guns, and it's night and day compared to, you know, what we just talked about. 501 damage is kind of piss compared to, let's see, the heavy arc rifle, strength 8, AP -2, damage 3.
Oof.
That is huge, right?
Yep.
Rapid fire 2, increasing the range by 6. Now you're talking about getting in rapid fire at 18 inches as opposed to 15, which is like really, really solid for 10 points.
Yeah.
That is really good.
D3 kills a Tyranid warrior.
Yeah. No, it's not D3, it's flat 3.
Yikes.
Yeah.
He's dead. He's dead.
Yeah, he's just pop.
He's dead. And that's why warriors are trash.
The last one is Inloaded Lethality for 15 points. Basically, a Dominus or a Manipulus can be equipped to have 3 extra attacks and increase the damage characteristic by 1. It's okay. I think if you're not taking Castellan robots to pummel anything in front of them, then you're probably taking this, right? Because it's cheap, it's okay. The Dominus is only ever going to be like a melee unit that's either going down with the Corpuscari or the Fulgurites. If you remember the Fulgurites, they're those guys with the +4 feel no pains when you kill something.
Oh yeah, those are obnoxious. Those
are
obnoxious units.
Yeah, his profile for his axe and melee is 4 attacks, weapon skill 3, strength 6, AP -2, damage 2. So now it's going from 4 to 7 attacks, and damage 1 to damage 3, or damage 2 to damage 3. Sorry, which is like
that's a pretty scary profile.
Yeah, it is pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's not much, but it's
100% increase in attacks.
Yeah,
which is
like
for 15.
It's not bad. For 15 is not bad. Okay, real quick to run over all the strats. They're pretty self-explanatory. Almost all of them have to interact with the Halo override units that you targeted. So they're kind of like the Tyranid onslaught, right? Like you target Tyranid warriors, they get something special.
Yep.
So 1 CP during your shooting your fight phase, Mechanicus unit that has not been selected to shoot or fight, they get to reroll wound rolls of 1, and if they're the Halo override, they get to reroll hit rolls of 1. Just pretty solid, right? Reroll all ones. Yeah, super simple. Really good with like the last cannon chickens.
Right, because last cannons are bad.
They always roll 1. They always roll 1.
They're so worthless. They're so worthless.
Then you have aggressive impulse. This one's pretty good. It basically says 1 Dune Rider, which is our transport for the army.
Okay.
Whenever somebody would disembark, they're eligible to declare a charge, right? So it's basically, all right.
Okay.
So it's basically the Land Raider assault ramp ability, where as soon as you disembark after doing a move, you can just charge. Again, that's good with like the Corpuscari after like the trying to fish those 16-6, because you can go like move this Dune Rider like I think it's 18. Right, disembark the guys, shoot all these shots, and then be able to charge and then get all the sustained hit 2s, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, that is good.
It's just good. Yeah, it's just good. Like, and that's kind of like the whole part of this army is just, or this detachment is just, yeah, that's good. You know what I mean?
They could just give Scorpius Dune Riders assault ramps, but you know.
Well, they quite literally have ramps. So...
Well, they're not assault ramps.
It's fucking ridiculous. Then you have targeting override. This is probably the strongest one, right? So you're shooting or fight phase, both, right? Something that hasn't been selected to fight or shoot, it basically gets crit 5s. Hit rolls, sorry. Yeah. So basically sustain those like 30 guys that are shooting sustained 2s, every 5 fishes 2 extra hits. 5 ups. So you're talking like going from 30 to going to 60. Like this is basically like if you remember when we played in 8th, like how those Castellans used to like shoot 12 shots and somehow come out with like 70 something, but they couldn't move for the rest of the game.
Oh yeah, I do remember that vaguely.
Yeah, it's kind of like
that's just like
because Admech used to have a lot of like exploding 5s, and then it had Wrath of Mars, which was like exploding mortals. Right, it was just gross. And targeting override is like the closest to that. I mean, like your sustained hit last cannons are now sustaining hits on 5s. Like you're shooting 6 shots of a last cannon break and you're coming out with like 9. You know what I mean? So that's probably the one that's you spam the most, I think. It has so many uses throughout the army. Guided retreat, pretty simple. Like basically when you fall back, you are eligible to fall back, charge, and shoot.
Okay.
So it's just everything. Yeah. Like it's not like a fall back and charge or fall back and shoot. It's fall back, shoot, and charge. Right?
Yeah.
And then if it's the Halo override unit, then they get to reroll Desperate Escape text. It doesn't really matter. But guided retreat is good with the flamer birds, because they can like basically rapid ingress down, burn something, charge it, and then next turn they can fall back, burn it again, and then charge it, and then just like keep them locked.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So it's just pretty good. Neural overload. This one's fucking bonkers in my opinion.
Okay.
So it's a lot of text. It has a designer's note, so you know it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
But all it basically says is you can select an extra Halo override unit, right? So normally you get to choose 2. basically you pay 1 CP, and then one unit that isn't Halo overrided, you get to give it the Halo override, and it gets an ability, right?
Okay.
So say something is like, hey, it turns out you need to move this unit out here, right? But I don't know, you can't do that because you need the 2-inch move from the Halo override. Give it to them, right?
Okay. Wow.
So the better part is if the unit has already has the Halo override keyword, they take D3 mortal wounds, but then they get an extra ability on top of that.
Right.
So instead of just like being like, hey, you also get the ability I chose, it's, hey, that ability I chose, you get another one on top of that. So, for instance, say those Castellan robots that we were talking about, you give your entire army shoot in charge, or advance in charge.
Yep.
And now you say, I'm going to pay 1 CP. This guy maybe takes 2 mortal wounds. And now he's going to get +2 move and advance in charge. Or he's going to get +2 move and stealth or something. Or +1 toughness and stealth. Like, you are able to basically stack another buff. It basically reads like a modular magic card that says, choose one. And then you get one of your abilities.
Yeah, choose one. All of them are good, by the way.
Yeah. It's just solid. And then the last one is Analytic Divination. It's basically a reactive move. Whenever somebody would end a normal, advance, or fallback move, you get to move D6, or up to 6 if it's a Halo override unit. And reactive moves are fucking gross in the game.
Yeah,
so
that sounds like shooting armies ability.
Yeah, except... I should highlight that it says 1 Adeptus Mechanicus infantry, so it's limited to infantry, and it excludes the Cataphrons, which are the strongest units and the ones that could probably use it the most.
Yikes.
So,
Yikes.
yeah.
When your army's already getting pegged, maybe just take what you get.
Yeah, and I think the Halo's Creed Battleclade is definitely the best that we've gotten. So, me personally, I give this thing like a 9, because... it adds something that isn't as boring as just, hey, I have a bunch of guys with stealth.
Yeah. It's like cool.
And
it's
watch
like
my models die.
Yeah, you have like interesting decisions you can make at all points of the game. You have like your cool robots that bash in brains. It is way more interesting.
And it brings in a lot of like the things that that have been neglected throughout the army. Like, it tries to push destroyers, it tries to push Castellans, it tries to push the things that are just like, don't have the army rule for some fucking reason.
Right.
It tries to give more credence to units that are less used throughout the army when the codex was printed, which I think is, 1, awesome for like just casual play, and then 2, like, if you wanted to play something more aggressive and less passive and objective focused, then this is I think the detachment you go for. I don't think you even look at the other ones, in my opinion. So it's either like the Codex basically has become Skitarii Hunter Cohort or Halo's Creed Battleclade. I don't really think you choose any other ones.
And how many other detachment options are there?
There's 5 that came out in the Codex. One of them is give your robots the army rule. The other is with the tech priests. The other is with like the Rad Zone Core with the bombardment. The other is the one that just gives you reroll wound rolls of 1 and 1 objective marker.
Yikes.
Yeah, not great.
So of your 6, 2 are playable.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, basically.
Yikes. Big yikes.
Like, yeah. So that's Admech for you. But let's move on to the 4 demon detachments that we got, and I'm sure that the demon player has quite a bit to say about these.
I have a lot of stuff I want to say, and I'm going to do these in order of how good I think they are. So I'm going to start with the worst and leave the best for last. Okay. So I'm going to start with Plague Legion.
Yeah.
Plague Legion sucks. So alright, we can start right away with the detachment rule. While an enemy unit is within 9 inches of 1 or more demon Nurgle units, they are in the Shadow of Chaos, which, I mean, thank you. Greater demons already have this, but 6 inches, so who cares? And then each command phase, select 1 enemy unit within your enemy's shadow. They must take a battle shock test. This blows.
Yeah, just 1.
It's just 1 unit, and it's an unmodified battle. It's not an unmodified battle shock test, because in the shadow you do have -1 leadership, and then if you fail it, you take D3 mortal wounds, and that is very important for when we discuss the enhancements in Plague Legion, because 2 of these turn that off.
Really?
So, okay, first enhancement, Canker Blight, 15 points.
Yeah.
Demon unit, whenever an enemy unit that is not a monster or a vehicle fails a battle shock test within 6 inches of this model, a model in that unit is destroyed. If that happens, demonic terror does not occur as well. Yikes. Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes. So basically you're paying 15 points to use Melancholic Miasma on whatever is in range of this unit, and it has to be in 6 inches, and Nurgle is slow. It is very, almost the entire army has 5-inch move. Literally one of the stratagems is dedicated to trying to mitigate that. Also, each one of these has the same stratagem of move through terrain, so I'm just going to ignore it. The next attachment is Maggot Maws, which is also 15 points. In your shooting phase, you can pick one enemy unit in 6 inches, they have to take a battle shock, and then you roll 1d6. On a 3-up, they take d3 mortal wounds. You'll notice that those mortal wounds are not conditional with failing the battle shock. And you would think, oh, so I can deal a d3 and then deal another d3 with the Shadow of Chaos rule. But you're wrong! Because it turns off demonic terror.
Why?
I don't know. It's just not good. It's just, Canker Blight is just kind of better than this. Because while it does not force a battle shock, your detachment rule does allow you to do so.
Right.
This doesn't force a battle shock. Well, it does force a battle shock, but it is not conditional with the failure. But it is a 3-up, which is only 66% chance of happening. So there is a 33% chance that you spend 15 points to do nothing.
Right. I mean, 15 points is a great way to top off a list.
It is.
So far, it looks like the better of the...
But if you have 15
I don't even know.
points,
I actually kind of don't know.
Because at least Canker Blight is deleting a model. So you can, unlikely, but you can delete a Lord with this.
Yeah, I mean, you can destroy a Terminator. That's better than dealing one mortal wound to it.
Exactly.
Right.
Canker Blight is bad, but it is better than Maggot Maws, which is irredeemably bad. Then we have 35 points, Droning Shroud. It is a 16-inch low-nop aura. Or not it's a 6-inch low-nop aura. I mean, low-nop is good, Nurgle is slow, so low-nop is really helpful, but it's 35 points.
So basically, you have 6 inches in which that unit then gets a low-nop.
You have 6 inches, 2 Nurgle units. So everything in that 6 inches has low-nop.
Okay.
Yeah. In comparison, however,
I'm
going to bring it right back to the only detachment that demons had access to for a while, Demonic Incursion. You can pay 30 points, which is 5 points cheaper than Droning Shroud, to give a Great Unclean One 4-up Feel No Pain for the entire game.
Oh, yeah. Endless Gifts, right?
Yes, Endless Gift.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best enhancements that demons have access to across, I'm going to say, most of these detachments. Not all of them, because there are a lot that are really good. None of them are in Plague Legion. But Low-Nop in a 6-inch aura is fine. I don't think you don't want to really give it to like your Plague Bearers, because that's like their job. So like, what are you putting in the 6-inch aura? Soul Grinder? Do people take Soul Grinders in their armies? No. I don't think so. Nurgle doesn't really have... Nurgle has a lot of problems, and one of them is actually dealing damage to anything. And because Great Unclean Ones don't do it, Beasts don't do it, Plague Bearers don't do it. That's something that they needed. And the next one, Font of Spores, is 20-point aura. That is it's a 6-inch aura for increased armor pen, which is
it looks
bad.
Fine.
I don't know. It's an aura for armor pen, which isn't terrible. I mean, this is really only buffing up your unit. Like, this makes a Great Unclean One have -3 on its Bile Blade, which would be good if a Bile Blade wasn't also Strike 6.
Ooh. Wow.
The Doomsday Bell goes to AP -2, but it's Strike 7.
Okay.
If you give your Great Unclean with the Bile Sword, that it gets a little bit more interesting. AP -3, Strength 8 attacks for the strike, and AP -1 or AP -2 strength 6 swipe for 12 attacks. It's fine. That is the problem of Nurgle, is that they don't have a way to deal damage, and so far these enhancements do not help it. Because even the Airbear Pen going up, it is a little bit aided by basically every Nurgle unit having lethal hits, but it's not enough. Because even then, they don't really have very high damage. So we go into the stratagems, and we have Seeping Virulence, which gives a single unit 5s crits.
So, like the Admech one, basically?
Yeah, it's like the Admech one. And
but it's only limited to fight phase, huh?
It's only fight phase. It's one unit, but every Nurgle unit has lethal hits.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah. Okay.
So, it's decent. The next one is Rotten Renewal, which is the Move for the Train one, which I'm skipping. Fever Visions is shooting or fight, which is hilarious because Nurgle has exactly one unit that has a shooting ability, which is the Plague Drones. I think Great Unclean Ones technically have a gun. Until the end of the phase, one Nurgle unit has +1 to hit. And after you finish attacking that unit, the enemy unit, or if it was hit, they take a Battle Shock test. If you're in the 12 inches, it's worse because then they're not in the shadow. But if you are in the shadow, if you have them in the shadow, because everything within 9 inches of your Nurgle units is in the shadow. So if you do that and then they fail it, they will take some mortal wounds. Then we have Merc Shadows, which increases the movement characteristic of a Nurgle for unit from whatever it is to that +5. It is a CP.
It's basically like an auto advance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine, I guess. I don't know.
Well, at the very least, it doesn't count as advancing, so you could
so you can do
basically
can move up
a flat
lot,
advance and charge.
But then, I mean, what are you using this on? Like a Great Unclean one exclusively?
Yeah, I guess that's really the issue.
When these detachments came out, and I was trying to make lists for each of them, this was the one that I deleted. Because it was so hard to make it and also be like, does this army actually do anything?
Right.
Because it doesn't have any heavy hitters. Nurgle sucks. Nurgle. And then we have Fetid Resurgence, or Fetid Resurgence, maybe a way to pronounce it. It's 2 CP, 1 Nurgle unit, return up to 1 destroyed model, or D3 battle lines, or D3 +1 wounds to a monster. This is really, really annoying on Beasts of Nurgle, because you can take them in units of 2. However, it is 2 CP to bring back a beast whose job is to do nothing and just not die.
Yeah, right.
Really, you're like spending 2 CP to heal a Great Unclean One, which used to be Nurgle's thing, but since the removal of spells and magic, it's not. It's not. The final stratagem is Plague of Woes, which is during your opponent's command phase before you have chosen your Melancholic Miasma target. So, until the end of the phase, after a unit takes a Battle Shock test as a result of that, another one takes it within 9 inches.
Okay, so you're basically like chaining it.
Yeah, this is probably the best stratagem in this detachment, other than maybe the 5s to crit.
Yeah.
Because you get to splash that Melancholic Miasma and kind of make it useful.
Yeah, because if you like Battle Shock in 2 things, then it's like at least you're getting more bang for your buck and potentially more wounds.
Right, and the downside is that the one that you've targeted will take wounds from the Shadow of Chaos, but the other one won't. Unless it is also in 9 inches of another Nurgle unit.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so you can kind of fuck yourself out of like a better effect.
Yeah, so all in all, I give Plague Legion like a 2 or a 3. If you stack that on top of the fact that Nurgle demons are just not good.
Right,
It just sucks. Alright, the next one I'm going to start with, and I am doing this in order of how good I think they are, so keep that in mind. I am not saying that the next one is bad, because I don't think that it is, but it is worse than the other ones. And the next one is Blood Legion.
Really? I've seen people put Scintillating Legion in 3.
No, I think Scintillating Legion is actually crazy.
Okay. All right.
So I'll get into that though.
Run through it.
So Blood Legion, the detachment rule is whenever something moves in, you get to surge towards them.
Okay.
For the melee, literally the melee faction, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's really, really good. It's really terrifying, and you can get into engagement range, which means that they're probably going to punch first. But if any of your Khorne units survive, you're going to kill everyone. Especially if what has now in engagement range is a bloodthirster.
Oh
Especially
my goodness.
because if you get into engagement range, you get to effectively skip your opponent's shooting phase.
True. Yeah, because they can't shoot you.
Yep, and then their next rule is sticky. If you kill
Okay.
a unit on an objective, you're sticky at that objective.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was way better than the stupid warrior bioform one where you have to pay a CP for it. This one
Yeah,
usually kill
right?
something that was on it, which Korn
Yeah,
loves.
and you get a surge move on top of that.
And you have surge moves. It's like, what is the point? What is the point?
Jeez.
What is the point of doing certain things in certain ways? Okay. And now we get into the enhancements, and some of the enhancements for Blood Legion are insane.
Okay.
35 points, Slaughter Thirst. All Khorne units within 6 inches of the bearer have Lance.
+1 to wound on charge. That sounds
Plus
great.
1 to wound on charge for everything. This is something that like you went out of your way to try and get for Bloodletters with Blood Thrones before they nerfed them.
Yeah.
And now you can just pay 35 points and all of your Bloodletters have it.
Okay.
Bloodletters have a horrifying melee profile that is mitigated by how squishy they are. They each have
Right.
2 attacks, they hit on 3s, they are strength 5, they are AP 2, and they are damage 2.
Oh wow. Holy.
And they reroll hits of 1, or reroll wounds of 1, unless they are below half strength, in which case they reroll all wounds.
Ooh. Okay.
They are terrifying with that. And that's just
Yeah.
Bloodletters.
And now you give them +1 to wound, and then you can reroll wound rolls of 1.
And you get to reroll
So you
those
just
ones.
close that gap.
Or if they
Wow.
got shot, which they probably did, they might be rerolling all of their wounds.
Right.
That's
While
just
moving towards you.
your blood. Yeah, that's just your
Yeah.
battle line. Like that's just your garbage. What you would probably
Yeah.
give this to is like a Blood Master.
Uh-huh.
It's all blood and skull shit. So I'll be a little bit more clear. A Blood Master is like a Bloodletter leader, like their lieutenant.
Yeah. Okay.
You can
It's
give
like a
that to
captain's
one
rank.
of those. Have that in like
Yeah.
a circle of a Bloodletter unit, so that they like make space for the other 2 to come in, and then all of your Bloodletters in your army have Lance, and those can be units of 20.
Jeez.
So you can have 60 Bloodletters. You can still do that, right? I'm now anxious that you can't. No, you actually can't do that. Oh shit. Why? What? That's so weird. Okay, so you can't do that. You can have 30 Bloodletters with Lance. I don't know why you can't double up on these anymore, but you can.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really sad, actually. Okay, the next enhancement is Fury's Cage. This is what you give to your Bloodthirster to make sure that whatever it hits is gone. This is 20 points, and whenever it is ready to fight, it can elect to take a D3 +1 mortals to get full rerolls. That is hits
wow.
and wounds. That is hits
Jeez.
and wounds on your Bloodthirster.
Oh my god.
Your Bloodthirster, who has either 14, Strength 10, hitting on 2s, AP -2, D2, damage 2 attacks, or 7, Strength 16, AP -4, D6 +2 attacks.
Man, what do you even need a reroll with all that strength?
Whatever, if this is something that you take when you need a unit in your army that will get shit done.
Yeah.
If you need
like,
a
you
Land
can-
Raider fucking dead,
Yeah, that's what I was
it
gonna
will
say.
be dead.
Yeah.
Nothing will survive. The next one is Brazen Maw for 15 points. The unit has +2 to charge rolls.
Pretty solid.
This is really solid on a Skull Master, which is the Blood Crusher leader.
Yeah.
Your Blood Crushers deep striking in and then getting +2 to that charge is critical, because if your Blood Crushers do not get into melee, they will die and they are worthless. And Blood
Don't they
Crushers
have
are
the,
not cheap.
Don't they have the ability to be able to deal mortal wounds on a charge as well?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so it's like ensuring that you can get in and do that.
Yeah. So when they do make their charge move, you roll 1d6 for each model in that unit. Each 4 deals d3. So
That's
is
a lot of damage.
A lot of damage. And if you took your instrument, which you should have, that is +3 to your charge.
Oh wow. Yeah, so those guys are gonna make it from like half field.
Yep, and whatever was there will not be anymore because blood crushers do fuck shit up. The
Yeah, and
final. Oh,
they
yeah.
all have deep strike, right?
Yes, all demons.
Yeah, so
All demons. All demons.
you basically get like a 7-inch charge.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Sweet.
like die. It's like die. Die. Whatever was there won't be. Whatever it
Yeah.
is, it's going to get fucked up. You're probably taking like a full unit of 6 blood crushers with your Skullmaster, with Brazen Maw, and it's charging, and whatever it charged is probably dead. They would have to get an insane Overwatch to do anything. The final enhancement for Blood Legion is Gateway unto Damnation, which is 10 points for Deadly Demise happens on 2+ instead of a 6. And
Sweet.
if the bear destroyed 1 or more units in the battle, the Deadly Demise deals D3 plus 3 instead.
Okay. So it's like a supercharged detonation.
Yeah, it's like turn some unit into a bomb, which is
Yeah.
fine. I would never buy it personally.
Right.
It
all
is
the other
pretty
ones seem
funny
way too
though.
good.
It is.
Yeah, just have like a volatile bloodthirster up in their ranks.
Yeah, like have one bloodthirster with Fury's Cage, and then another bloodthirster with Gateway, and just like throw them at your enemy and be like, all right, what are you gonna do? One of them is gonna kill everything, and the other one literally wants to die. And then you roll a 1, and you're like, oh cool, I paid 10 points to do nothing. Now we're gonna get into the stratagems, and I think a lot of these stratagems are really good. We will be skipping Gore Hungry Onslaught because it's the same thing, where it's just move through terrain, which is very, very good for blood crushers, and very, very useless for pretty much everything else. I mean, monsters can just go through walls now, and bloodletters are infantry, so who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Wrath Undeniable is, I think most of these are in the fight phase or the charge phase. Yeah. So
yeah, very corny. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if this was in the Nurgle one, but the Khorne one does let you charge through walls as well.
Oh.
I don't remember that from the Nurgle one, but the Khorne one does say that.
I don't think it had that. Jeez.
So Wrath Undeniable is fight on death, which is, I don't like stratagems like this. I've never liked them. I think they're useless.
Yeah. Well, on a 4-up, it's a bit much.
Yeah, on a 4-up, it's just not good. And it's like, wouldn't I rather spend my command point on like keeping them alive, or like anything else? I don't know. I don't like those. You might, the viewers might, but I don't like stratagems like this. I think they're bad. Blood Begets Skulls, advance and charge for 1 CP. Big fan. Big fan. Huge fan of this. This is good on Blood Crushers. This is good on Bloodthirsters. This is good on Scarbrand. This is good on everything. This is good on Bloodletters. I mean, I wouldn't use it on Bloodletters personally, but maybe that's the only thing you don't have in combat.
Right, and if it's not in combat, then it's not doing its job.
Right, exactly. And I mean, this is how you get them in, right? This is what you got.
Yeah.
Gore Hungry Onslaught, we're skipping. Fool's Flight is 2 command points to charge a unit that has fallen back.
Okay, so fall back and charge.
Yeah. No, they fall back, you charge them.
Oh! Okay.
It is any unit, so it does not have to be the unit that was in combat with them.
Oh, shit. So you could, like, set something up.
Yes.
Just be like, come back here, you little fuck.
Yeah, so you can charge with Bloodletters, they fall back, and then charge them with Blood Crushers.
Wow. And then you can get the D3 Mortal Wounds, like, line break. Wow, that's awesome. 2 CP is a bit much.
2 CP is very expensive, but you probably save it for when like a very important ranged unit that you have gotten caught escapes.
Right, and then you don't let them do that.
Exactly, and then they die.
Finger wag. Yeah.
No. You're dead, actually. Skulls Beget Blood. This happens in your shooting phase. I'm pretty sure this is the exact same text as grenades.
Yeah, it's basically like
it's
Khorne grenades.
That's it. There is no shooting in Khorne other than Scarbrand's Flamer, and some Bloodthirsters will take whips, which I think is a mistake.
Yeah.
And then the final one is really simple. Sheathed in Brass. In your opponent's shooting phase, you can give a unit 3-up armor. It's really good on Bloodletters. It is fine on Blood Crushers. Bloodthirsters also only have a 4-up armor somehow. pretty much everything has 4-up or worse. So I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, it looks just okay.
It's okay. I personally would have preferred if this was an invuln save buffer, because that's like
Yeah.
the point of demons. But it is like brass is Khorne's thing, so it's.
It just feels a little weird
okay.
because it's still affected by AP, right? Unless you're like in
Yeah,
cover.
exactly. I mean, this is pretty much only ever going to be used on bloodletters,
Right.
because it's just not worth it on anything else.
Gotcha.
Because it's like,
I mean, it's a good way to get around like the whole massive shots that have no APs.
right,
That usually tends to be
that
the
is
weakness
exactly
of
the point of
demons.
it, and you can only use one. So you're probably using it on the bloodletter unit that has Slaughter Thirst, and none of the other ones.
Okay.
So I think Blood Legion is pretty good. I'll probably give it like a 7, maybe an 8, like a 7.5.
Yeah.
But now we
that's
get into
solid.
the Suffering Land. This is where pain comes. Scintillating Legion. And I'm pretty much only putting it over Blood Legion because I think its detachment rule is just much better.
Okay. Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Or
I mean,
is it-
re-rolling things for free is pretty good.
Yeah,
but-
having free rerolls is really good. Giving it to your opponent kind of sucks, but also, do you really care? And then the other reason is Delirium Unmade. Delirium Unmade is absurd. Absurd. So that's the detachment rule is you get 3 tokens. They give you rerolls. Whenever you use your reroll, your opponent gets it. In your command phase, if your opponent has a flex token or more, you get 1.
Right. So you're always on top.
Right.
One step ahead.
You're always one step ahead. That's the whole point of Siege. I mean, another thing is I really like the flavor of it. I think it's really cool.
Most people do, yeah. That's why it's highly
really
praised.
Cool. I love Scintillating Legions. The first enhancement is Inescapable Eye. If your opponent has 1 or more flux tokens, you get another flux token. So you get 2 flux tokens. For 10 points,
Yeah, for 10 points?
you will
Too
always
easy.
take this. There is literally no reason to not take this. And the next one
Right.
is also another one I don't think you should ever not take, Infernal Puppeteer. Effectively adding a lot of range to your Lords of Change. Lords of Change guns are very good.
Okay.
And this lets you shoot through another unit that isn't within 9 inches.
Oh, I do remember this. Yeah,
Yes.
This is when you were basically like hiding a Lord of
Yep,
Change.
I put a Lord of
way
Change
in
in
the
a
corner.
building, and I always had a unit within 9 inches so it could keep shooting.
Jeez, yeah, I do remember that.
It is really good. It's only 10 points. It's insane
10
to me that
points
it's
for
only
that?
10
Wow.
points.
Yeah,
Especially because, like, you can still move.
that is so
You don't
wild.
have
I
to
did not
stand
know it was
still.
10 points.
It's only
I thought
10
that was
points.
a stratagem this entire time.
No,
I'm like,
it's
okay.
not. That's an enhancement. That's always
Holy
happening.
fuck, that's insane.
The next one I like a lot on a Demon Prince is the Neverblade.
Okay.
So it will improve the strength characteristic of a melee weapon on the bearer by 2, the attack and AP by 1, and they get +1 to hit in melee. I really like this on Demon Princes.
Yeah.
It is worthless on Lords of Change.
Well, no, you don't really want those
No,
guys to be
that is
smacking
bad.
things.
Their melee is not good. Don't do that.
Right.
The Improbable Shield is 30 points for a 6-inch aura of Feel No Pain 4-up against psychic attacks and mortal wounds. I don't think it's very good. There are
that
matchups
was the
where
Sun
it is
Hoser.
really good. Yeah, it's really good against like other psychic factions. But I think that the other 3 are just so generically good and also are still good in that matchup that there's
Yeah.
kind of no reason to ever take it.
It's more like a flex pick, if anything.
Right.
Yeah, and
It's like-
T-Sense has kind of gone down.
Yeah, it's like, it's okay. It's like, what, T-Suns are big mortal wounds. Even other demons aren't even like huge on it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Well,
guess
with
Shadow.
the release of the new Guard Codex is kind of insane, apparently.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Improbable Shield comes up in play. It's also the most expensive by like a lot. like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I personally wouldn't take it. I think it's better in general to just use cover. Use cover. Like block
Yeah.
LOS so that they can't just shoot you in the first place. I think that's just better in general.
Yeah.
Which one is the move through terrain? Fateborn Nightmares. It is charge, so maybe the Nurgle one is also charge.
Maybe.
Because this one is also charge. And it's the Zinch one. It's like, why? Why?
Yeah, you don't really care, I don't think.
The
It's just
Impossible Eclipse. So any phase, one unit one Zinch monster can select no man's land or your opponent's deployment, or spend a flux to choose both. And if you do, both of those areas are in the Shadow of Chaos.
Oh.
This is really good for Battle Shock tests. Because it nerfs everything. And also, it is great to use it in your command phase for your own, because if when your units pass a Battle Shock in the Shadow, they restore models and they restore models.
Oh, okay. So you could basically force an area to be the Shadow to give yourself that buff.
Yes.
Okay. Wouldn't you also be able to select an area of the map with this to then be able to deep strike, right? Because you could deep strike within certain range of your Shadow Chaos.
That might specifically be Demonic Incursion.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was one of the problems that I had going into Grotsmas for the demons, was that Demonic Incursion is literally so good. I was like, how do you actually like beat it? And I do think that Scintillating Legion and Legions of Excess did succeed.
Right.
I think that a lot of, Demonic Incursion also has Advanced Charge Stratagem, in addition to increasing the invulnerable save versus shooting. So I think that actually is a little bit better in some ways for Khorne units than the Khorne detachment itself. But
yeah.
Fateborn Nightmares, we're skipping those because they're all the same in the Demons factions. Pyrogenesis is one Zinch unit that has not shot yet. This is either shooting or fight. Until the end of the phase, add 2 to the strength characteristics of weapons equipped by models in that unit, or spend a flux token to add 3 strength and increase the AP by 1.
Fucking crazy. Holy shit.
This is
2 CP,
really, really gross, though. It is 2 CP.
Yeah, with flamers?
You have to save it for flamers, or like a really important shooting phase with your Lord of Change. You can't spam this because it's 2 CP, but that's a lot of fucking damage.
Yeah, 3 strength is an insane
plus
breakpoint.
3 strength minus and another AP is on your on your Lord of Change. His gun becomes strength 12 on either the D3 either the focused one and the normal one have the same strength, but the focus gets another AP and D3 damage. So that's minus 3 AP, D3 damage, strength 12.
Jeez. And I think it's nice that it's flexible, because you could basically say, okay, if I can't reach this breakpoint with 2, then I'll use the flux to reach the breakpoint with 3.
Right.
Right? So you can potentially go from like wounding something on a 5 to wounding something on a 3.
Yep.
Which is kind of crazy.
You can take your flamers from strength 4 AP minus 1 attacks to strength 7 AP minus 2 flames.
Yeah, that's
And there
wild.
are 3 flamers in a unit.
Oh my gosh, man, that's crazy.
That is, you can have up to 6 flamers in a unit. You can double up on flamers, but you can't double up on bloodletters.
Yeah, it seems like something that very, very much warrants the price of 2 CP, but feels good when you spend that.
Yeah,
point.
You will get your points back, I think.
Right, yeah. 100%.
Especially, and you should have Kairos in your army, because Kairos allows you to buy back command points on a roll of higher than the current battle round when they're within certain, like 6 inches of him.
Yeah, and so, it probably will be, considering that one thing that lets him shoot through other units.
Right, exactly. So you can always get that command point back. So if you pretend in your mind that it's 1 command point instead of 2, if you're targeting whatever's around Kairos or Kairos himself,
yeah,
1 command point for 3 strength AP minus 1 is very good.
Yeah.
Then we have Fickle Fire, 1 command point in your shooting phase, 1 Zinch unit that is in engagement range, they get to shoot. After they shoot, so they basically get pistols. On a 5-up, they take a mortal wound.
Okay, so basically getting the pistol keyword for the most part.
Yeah, you get pistol, but on a 5 or 6, you take a mortal wound. This is pretty good on like flamers. If they got charged by something, they could just remove it. They could just...
Yeah.
It's good on like kind of the whole Zinch roster, except like horrors. Horrors are worthless.
Yeah.
They take up space. That's their job.
Okay.
That's their job. Flickering Reality this is the weird one, right? Yeah, this is the weird one.
Okay.
So in your fight phase, after an enemy unit has chosen its targets, your Zinch unit that was chosen as that target, you roll a d6, then you can spend a flux token to re-roll it. Each time an attack targets that unit, if it makes that result, it is denied.
Oh, I do remember this one.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like a weird, like, in Magic terms, like a void winnower almost. Like, it's just kind of like saying, hey, whatever this is, you don't get to score hits on this roll.
Yeah, so you can go for gold. You can go for gold. You can roll that 6. And then all 6s do not happen. You can just take your roll of like 2 or 3. I think 3 or 4 is probably like generally where you want to be aiming for.
Right.
Because that's going to be the majority of rolls. 6s are like, just I don't want to get crit. Probably you're going to go for that on like a sustained hit or lethal hits target or enemy. Mm-hmm. But in general, 3 or 4 will deny the most attacks. This is weird. It's very zinchy. It's very flavorful. I have gotten great use out of it personally, but I've only used it like once because usually I'm spamming Delirium Unmade.
Yeah.
And then now we get to the most nonsense part of Scintillating Legions. The reason I think it is the best, it is better than Blood Legion, Delirium Unmade. At the end of your opponent's fight phase, you may target one Zinch unit that is not in engagement range of one or more enemy units, or you can spend a flux to choose 2 Zinch units instead, and they can be in engagement range. Pick them up and put them in strategic reserves.
That is fucking ridiculous. 1 CP for that?
1 CP, and you can spend a flux token and pick up 2 Lords of Change and redeploy them.
That is so crazy. Like, it's impossible to tie something up because of this.
You can't tie anything up unless somehow you run out of flux tokens, which if you have constructed your army correctly, and what I mean is you took Inescapable Eye, you should always have flux tokens, unless you're just really just ramming them down, getting those rerolls everywhere. Like maybe you need to just use one to save the Lord of Change before you pick them up. But every single turn of the game, you're probably using Delirium Unmade.
And it's crazy because, like, not only do you remove your most valuable pieces, but you leave something out in the open to where they would have thought that they were safe. Right? Because if you went for like a Hail Mary charge and you're like, well, now I'm in engagement, I should be fine, and then all of a sudden this thing disappears in front of you, and you're just like, wow, now I'm in the open.
Now you're not, now I'm gonna die. 12 flamers staring at you. And also, don't forget, if you target one of the units and it is within 6 inches of Kairos, that could be free.
Oh my god, bro.
It can be 0 command points. You can get that command point back and look at your opponent and be like, you've pretty much lost.
Yeah. I mean, if Kairos ever gets tagged, he could basically cast it on himself for free.
Exactly. He can cast it on himself, he can spend a flux token and bounce another unit.
Yeah, and then be like, haha, I got my CP back.
You got the CP back, and you're winning the game. And you're
Jesus Christ, that's insane.
This is absurd versatility, absurd mobility for an army that otherwise they're not as slow as Gurgle, but they're not as fast as like Slanesh or even like most Khorne units.
Mm-hmm.
And that finishes Scintillating Legion. Scintillating Legion is at least an 8, if not a 9. I'd probably give it a 9.
Yeah, no, it's just Delirium Unmade Legion. That thing is fucking ridiculous.
Nothing here is bad.
Right.
The worst part of Scintillating Legion is giving your opponent rerolls, but
and I think that's why everything is so overpowered. Yeah.
Yeah, you have more of them. And also, you can reroll more things than your opponent can.
Yeah, your options are far more limited, if I remember correctly.
So you can reroll Advance, Hit, Wound, Damage, Saving Throw, or Hazard. Your opponent can reroll Advance, Hit, Wound, or Saving.
Yeah, which is like...
It's not
if that was charge roll, that would be insane.
Yes, oh my god. I mean, it would be better for your opponent because you're playing Zinch.
Yeah.
But that would probably also make it, like, that would probably bump it right back down to an 8.
Yeah.
But I think Scintillating Legion is a solid 9.
Okay.
And that brings us to Legion of Excess.
This fucking thing.
I think literally nothing here is bad.
Jeez. Yeah, I remember people reading this and just being like, what the fuck?
It is complete nonsense. Like, everything is good. Nothing is bad. It is kind of stupid. So, let's start with the detachment rule, which is already insane. the first line of text for Beguiling Aura, or it's two different actually. So Beguiling Aura is all units in your army can declare a charge in which they fell back.
Okay.
Which synergizes with
charge.
Seductive Gambit, which is your units can sacrifice your fights first to instead get full rerolls.
Right. To both. Oh, to hit and wound.
Yes, it is both.
Jesus.
It is both. And Slanesh units hit hard. And it is a gambit because you're also Slanesh, so all of you are paper.
Right. So it's basically like show your throat, but then smack back twice as hard.
Yeah, show your throat and then rip theirs out. Assuming you survived. Which, I mean, if you are, for example, a Keeper of Secrets, you probably will.
My goodness.
Or perhaps Shalaxi Hellbane.
Oh yeah, Shalaxi.
Shalaxi already has full rerolls versus monsters and vehicles, but this allows her to also have it versus infantry.
Right.
And I guess beasts and mounted, which, I mean, I guess other factions have access to, but who cares? Who takes them?
Oh my god.
So just the detachment rule is better than everyone else's, especially Plague Legions, who's worthless.
Yeah.
And then we start with the enhancements. So False Majesty, 30 points, a 6-inch aura of each model has +1 to wound. What this is really, really good with is Demonettes. It's a little weird to me is that Demonettes get reroll hits already if they are attacking a unit on an objective marker.
Okay.
So you are sacrificing fights first to get reroll on your wounds as well. But do you have to if they are in this aura?
Right, so you just basically charge and then just get +1 a wound, reroll hits. Right. Don't even worry about exposing yourself.
Exactly. And
gotcha.
And I mean, the lineup, the stat line of a Demonette is not insane. It used to be a lot better. But strength 4, AP -1, 1 damage. Hitting on 3 is 3 attacks each. This is the Hormagon stat line, but with better weapon skill.
Right, and now a +1 to wound.
Right, and +1 to wound. And Demonettes have devastating wounds.
Oh! Yeah, look at that.
They also have devastating wounds, because why not? The next one is also an aura. It's the same thing, but it's +1 to hit.
Oh.
Now, I don't love this on Demonettes as much, because they already hit on 3s. But if we go over to Fiends, they also hit on 3s, but they have AP -2, damage 2.
Okay, so way more important to get them through.
Exactly.
Do they have a higher strength?
They have strength 5. It is better strength. They will.
Okay, so the wound isn't as necessary.
Exactly. And they also have devastating wounds.
Okay.
So they will, now with this, rip Space Marines to pieces. The Space Marines will suffer. And I love any unit that makes Space Marines suffer.
That makes them suffer.
I hate Space Marines. The next one is Avatar of Perfection. So this is 15 points. If there are no friendly units within 6 inches of the bearer, reroll advanced rolls, reroll charge, ignore any or all modifiers to its movement, and to any advance and charges.
Wow, okay. So no shocking or anything.
No, this is your Keeper of Secrets that you deep strike into the backline.
Yeah, and then just go haywire.
And it will kill probably everything. It will kill... because Keepers of Secrets are monsters. They're just very expensive. They will, I mean, rerolling charges is not a joke.
No, not at all.
It is very scary. You can't make them slower. I don't know how much stuff is in the game that even does that. But, I mean, hey.
There's like a decent amount.
Toss it out there, see what happens. It's only 15 points. The final one is Soul Glutton. I also like this one on a Keeper. At the end of the fight phase, if one or more enemy models were destroyed, it regains up to D3 wounds.
Enemy models?
Enemy models.
Oh, wow.
Yep. As long as that mod bearer killed something, it heals.
Oh, wow. That's insane.
Yeah. This is great.
So basically D3 mortal wound healing every single fight phase.
It heals every fight phase as long as it killed a model. You don't even have to give this to a Keeper. You could give this to one of the other options, like a Demon Prince. Throw it into combat, and it's healing every single turn.
That's crazy.
It's a lot harder to shoot than a Keeper.
10 points, too.
And it's only 10 points.
Yeah.
And then we get into the stratagems, and all the stratagems are good. All of the stratagems are good.
Okay.
So, Thieves of Pain allows you to, for 1 CP, redirect the damage that a unit is taking to another one.
So basically just throw it into your chaff.
Yeah, if your Keeper of Secrets got fucked up by that stupid Adeptus Custode tank. No, it didn't. It's actually going to happen to the Demonets instead.
The Gladius Grav tank?
Yeah, the Gladius fuck tank. Fuck you.
Calidus.
Your stupid laser gun, it actually hit my Demonets instead. And also, Shalaxi is about to pound you now. You may have gotten lucky on the Overwatch, but I didn't need luck. I just needed 1 CP. I didn't.
Yeah.
And then Phantasmal Lodging is the charge and move through terrain. Arch Agonists is 1 CP for +1 to wound on either a monster or 2 units that are not monsters.
Okay, that makes the 2 CP a little bit better.
Yes.
Right?
So you can target 2 Fiends or 2 Demonettes or Shalaxi if for some reason, in addition to her full rerolls, you really, really need something dead.
Oh, and it's not ranged either. Like, range restricted. Like, you just, anywhere in the field, pick
anything.
2. Wow, that's crazy.
2 units, die.
Yeah, because most of those are, like, tethered abilities. Like, something within 6 inches of something.
A lot of it, especially, like, Demonic Incursion, they have to be in the shadow. But this one doesn't. Oh. It's just 2 of them.
Sweet.
For 2 points, that's really good. Or 2 command points, I think it's really good. I think one of the other legions we were talking about has +1 1 commandment for +1 wound or +1 hit. And this is effectively doing it twice, which is literally just better. So then we have Cavalcade of Blades, which is in the charge phase. After a Slanesh unit charges, you roll 1d6 for each model, or if it is a monster, 6d6 out of 4. They suffer 1 mortal, which is the Blood Crusher ability. But Blood Crushers get D3 mortal wounds, you only get 1.
Yeah, so like tank shock in a way.
Yeah, it's tank shock for literally everything. Demonettes with this will snipe a couple of models. This is just really good.
Yeah.
It's just good. I'm actually, I know Sensory Excruciation is next, but I'm going to save it for last because I think it's the most bullshit stratagem I've ever read in my life. So I'm going to go to Overwhelming Excess, which is in your opponent's shooting phase. After they have selected their target, you choose one of your Slanesh units, and that unit must take a Battle Shock test, subtracting from 1. You can't subtract more than 1. So if they were not in the shadow, basically they're taking the Battle Shock as if they were. So if they pass it, each time they attack, they have -1 to roll. If they fail it, they can't target that unit. Just in case your Calidus Grav tank targeted Shalaxi, it actually didn't.
Yeah,
and
you just say, hey, force this Battle Shock. Yo, that's crazy.
It is.
That sounds like a familiar ability. I can't remember where it's from, but there was another army that has something very, very similar.
It is so good when your army is so squishy and you have no shooting of your own, and like maybe you like bucked up in your movement, or your opponent like used a bunch of stratagems and got into position, and you literally just spend a command point and be like, actually no thank you.
Actually, no.
I'm actually not interested in that. Thank you very much. They have to choose a new target.
Right.
So it's not like they lose the shooting, but it's a lot better for you if they shoot Demonettes instead of Shalaxi.
Yeah,
or another Keeper Secret. Yeah. And then the final stratagem for Slanesh, which I think is insane. You choose a Slanesh monster, and then each unit on the battlefield within Shadow of Chaos must take a Battle Shock test, subtracting 1 if they are below half strength. So what this means is...
It's just Shadow of the Warp.
Yes. It is Shadow of the Warp, but better, and also you can do it every single turn of the game.
What? Wait.
So the reason that this is better than the Shadow of the Warp as well is that when your units pass a Battle Shock test in the Shadow, they restore models. So
this targets everything.
This is your units as well as theirs.
Oh, wow.
So when your Demonettes pass, they get D3 models. When your monsters pass, they get D3 wounds back.
Holy shit, that's insane.
Obviously, if they fail, it sucks. But
they
probably won't.
That's such a cool gamble, though.
Then we have to remember that whenever your opponent's units fail Battle Shock tests in the Shadow, they take D3 mortal wounds.
So, oh wow, that's fucking crazy.
And you can
On
spread the
top of being
shadow.
battle shocked.
Yeah, they're battle shocked. They take detour mortal wounds, and you can spread the shadow really easily in Slanesh because you're so fast. If you control
Right.
the majority of objective markers in a zone, it is in your shadow, as
Right.
well as anything within, your units within 6 inches of a greater demon.
Right. So just having your greater demon in front of, their army basically
Right.
is a great way to just, even if you don't have the shadow in that area of the map, at least you have it around your greater demons.
And you don't even have to use it to deal damage. This is literally better healing in Slanesh than all of Nurgle has access to.
Oh my god.
Because it literally hits your entire army.
That's so crazy.
It
Holy
is
shit.
1 CP.
Yeah.
It is 1 CP for a better Shadow in the Warp. This is, in my opinion, this is probably like the best stratagem I've in all of the factions that I play, which is literally just like Tyranids, Demons, and Drukhari. This is the best stratagem in all of them. This is better than Rapid Regen. This is better than Adrenal Surge. This is better than everything. This is better than Demonic.
It does so much.
This is better than the Scintillating Legions one. Delirium Unmade. This is better than Delirium Unmade. This is you will get the, especially if imagine this, right? You go second, you get shot. Turn 1, sensory expiration, restore everything.
Yeah, that sounds great. Not to mention the detachment ability. Like you're just like, oh yeah, I have this that heals my entire army, and then oh by the way, I'm gonna reroll everything.
Exactly. Exactly. You take your seductive gambit, you take the damage. You can only use sensory restoration in your command phase, but you fight, you come to their turn, you heal, you fight again.
That's so crazy.
And it doesn't stop. And you can have any number of, you can have 3 Keeper Secrets and Shalaxi. All of those have Shadow Aura.
Right, 6 inch, yeah.
I would keep at least 1 Keeper in your reserves to deep strike into the back with Avatar Perfection. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to do that.
Right.
You don't have to do that. You can just have them everywhere and like just have as many demon as you want, and they basically won't die as you spam sensory expiration over and over and over. And as you're slowly starting to take advantage of the game, because you have this basically infinite points glitch, your shadow will extend, and your opponent will have units in shadow, and they will suffer.
Yeah, this detachment is wild.
Legion of Excess literally doesn't have anything that is bad.
So 10 out of 10?
It's a 10 out of 10 for me. There's literally nothing bad about it. It is insane.
Great. Well, there's all the demon ones there.
Although I will crash out about the potential squatting of demons as an army.
Yeah, right?
Because what is the point?
I think in the Emperor's Children there's already leaks about them saying that the Slanesh demons are in that book.
Yeah, and so it doesn't necessarily mean that demons are being squatted, but it is weird. Because T-Suns didn't have that. T-Suns didn't have that, and
well, Teen Suns Codex hasn't come out yet.
World Eaters don't have that.
First one.
Well, they didn't have it before.
Right. I'm just saying that like Emperor's Children is probably going to be the first one out.
Right.
So it's going to be the the harbinger, I guess, of whether demons is going to get squatted, and it very much seems so.
So it might mean nothing. It could mean that demons are getting squatted. Personally, while I like to be a Debbie Downer a lot, I really want to say that this is not happening.
Yeah.
Because it would
I think they'll just get folded. I think they'll just get folded into the respective legions, but then like each legion will have like a demons thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. Like maybe Chaos Demons is no longer an army. Maybe the only thing that we're losing is the Demonic Incursion detachment, and then we'll have these detachments merged with the legions.
Right. I mean, and even then you might just have Demonic Incursion, like Chaos Undivided being the CSM book.
Yeah. And I mean,
yeah, it's just kind of weird to like have them spread out throughout 5 codexes.
Yeah, this does reduce the amount of paper they have to produce, I guess. Because instead of like printing out a Chaos Demons book, they just put like a few more pages in Emperor's Children, World Eaters, T-Suns, Death Guard, and Chaos Space Marines.
Right. And then they get to push you to play the legions.
And then they get to be like, hey, also you can play Chaos Space Marine units, even though Chaos Space Marine sucks. And has sucked since I played them. Like, I don't think you may remember like how into Chaos I was.
Right.
But like
yeah.
how into Chaos I was is how into Tyranids I am.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know, because the new Chaos Detachment, which we're going to go into here now, Creations of Bile, is fucking insane, in my opinion. So, it's very, it calls back to Canticles a lot, like, or if in 9th edition, Drukhari's combat drugs, right? Combat stims, whatever it was called. So basically, it's a chart 1 through 6, right? Based on a d6 roll. Much like Canticles, if I remember correctly, I think it was an 8th, you get to choose 1, or you randomly determine 2 by rolling a d6, right?
That was usually how things worked in the back of the day, yeah.
Yeah. So the difference being, if you run Fabius Bile, then you can re-roll 1 or 2 of those dice, right? So it really pushes Bile to be your leader. So basically, on a d6 of 1, you add 1 to attack. I need to add that fact that this hits every single unit in your army to exclude damned, which is usually like cultists or something.
Oh shit, okay.
But yeah, your entire army gets this, like all heretic Astartes. So on 1s, you add attacks, 1 attack to each model. On a 2, you add 2-inch move to all the models in your army.
Okay.
On 3s, you get +1 weapon skill. On 4s, you get +1 toughness. On 5s, you get +1 strength. And on 6, you get +1 ballistic. Like, everything here is fucking insane.
None of them are bad.
No. Like, you could argue that maybe ballistic skill, like, but like, it's just basically saying, hey, I'm gonna fuck you up harder than I can normally. And you get 2 of these. Wow, it's kind of crazy.
You know what this makes me remember? This makes me remember way back, like when I first started, the Codex for Chaos Space Marines had a chart for your lords and your Demon Prince. For whenever they destroyed a unit, you rolled up the chart and they would get a buff.
The Chaos Boon Table?
Yeah, the Chaos Boon Table. Or you rolled a double 1 and it turned into a spawn. But
yep. Or you roll double 6 and it turns into a prince.
That's what this makes me. Yeah, roll double 6s, get a demon prince. It was really cool, and I loved that about Chaos. It was one of my favorite things, and this makes me think about that, and that makes me happy. I like that.
Yeah, no, it's super sick. I mean, like, if you really need to get 1 buff, like, for sure, then you just, don't worry about the second one and pick the 1 buff alone. But more often than not, you roll the 2, you have Fabius Bile, and you try to fish for what you need, right? Only in like the most desperate scenarios are you gonna pick 1, and that's kind of how Canticles used to be, where it was like, I'm pretty sure it was random, but if you had call, you could re-roll 1 or 2. But yeah, no, just overall solid buffs. Every single
that's all really good.
The enhancement, surgical precision for 10 points. Basically, they get precision, right? 10 points ain't bad, right? But like, I feel like you're not really sniping, especially when you have Epic Challenge as a strategy that you can use. Now, 10 points, it's like, okay, like, it's not that bad. It's better than spending a CP.
Right.
But normally, like, I just don't think, like, you really care. You know what I mean?
No, I think one of the least useful keywords in the game is precision.
Next to heavy.
Yeah. And like the only units that I think of that are good that have precision are lictors.
Yeah, like any sort of dedicated assassin.
Right. But otherwise, it's like, do I want it? It's also melee weapons, so it's like, what's the point? So it's like, what's the?
Like, it's good on a lord, but like, I feel like you kind of just don't care. Why don't you
just challenge them?
Yeah, like if you really need to.
Yeah.
Living Carapace, 15 points. Chaos Lord model only. You add 1 and give 1 to the wounds and give him a 5+ feel on pain. Pretty simple, pretty nice.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I like that.
It would be nice if you could. I know some people were saying like if you could give this to a Chaos Lord in Terminator armor. I don't think you can.
Oh, you can. Oh shit, that's the exact thing.
I don't think you can.
Thought of. Yeah, so never mind.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can or not. Because it says Chaos Lord, it doesn't say Chaos Lord with Terminator armor. But I don't know, because they're kind of both Chaos Lords.
Is that a keyword?
I don't believe so. I mean, I can look it up while we keep talking, but it would be nice on the Chaos Lord with Terminator armor because they half damage, I believe, or they reduce damage by 1, so it gets 1 extra wound, reduces damage by 1, feel no pain 5. It's like good.
That's really good.
But like, but it doesn't do much, you know, because if it is a Chaos Lord with Terminator armor, then he has to be taking Terminators with him.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, Chaos Terminators are kind of whack. So you're really paying for a Chaos Lord with Terminator armor and then Terminators.
Put this on like a Terminator Lord or a Sorcerer Terminator Lord?
No, because those are sorcerers and Terminator armor. They're not Chaos Lords.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Helm of All Seeing, 25 points. Enemy, basically 12-inch deep strike deny. This one can be put on Astartes infantry, right? So I think if you could put that last one on a Chaos Lord and Terminator armor, it would have just said Heretic Astartes infantry, right? Because that hits every single lord. This probably would have been better during the meta when like 3-inch deep strikes were a thing with Necrons and Catons and demons and stuff. But now since they changed that, it's still good.
Yeah,
but I think it's like
a lot though.
It's like a meta pick, I think.
Yeah, like, what are you putting this on?
I don't know.
Havocs?
Well, it has to be a leader, right? The only thing that can lead a leader... Oh, I mean, in terms of, like, putting a Chaos Lord with a Havoc?
Yeah.
I just feel like if you're doing that, then you're just kind of, like...
wasting.
I don't know. Yeah, because it's a Chaos Lord. Yeah. Also, yeah, it looks like a Chaos Lord with Terminator armor does have the keyword Chaos Lord, so you could put the Living Carapace on him.
Yeah, I was thinking
that
because
like...
the Swarm Lord has a Hive Tyrant keyword.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I still think it's okay. I think the last three that we talked about are okay.
I think they're all fine.
But Prime Test Subject, this one is fucking absurd.
Holy fucking
and
fuck.
The point cost, the point cost justifies it, I think.
Right.
Because so it says Heretic Astartes infantry model. You're taking this on a Chaos Lord. We're just putting that out there now. Yeah, so you add 1 damage, and then each time they make a melee attack, you can reroll the hit roll, right? So like 35 points for that seems like a lot. But the thing is, Chaos Lords throughout CSM are taken with Legionaries, and Legionaries reroll 1s to wounds, but they do full rerolls if they're fighting within an objective marker. So as long as you have a Lord being led by Legionaries on an objective marker, they get to reroll hits, they get to reroll wounds, they add 1 damage. And with the Demon Hammer, it hits on 4s, but it has devastating wounds.
Yep.
So now you're talking about hitting on 4s but rerolling your hit and then being able to fish for devastating.
Right. Yikes.
And your devastating is would become 3 damage with this, because normally Demon Hammers have 2 damage.
Right. Jesus.
So now you're talking about forcing 3 unsavable wounds every single time this guy swings.
Yeah, that's insane. That's actually...
He's just going to destroy everything standing in front of
him. Yep.
And the best part is, like, they have this ability called Chance for Glory. Once per battle, at the start of the fight phase, they improve their strength, attacks, armor penetration, and damage by 1. So now you're talking about them hitting with a Demon Hammer 6 times, rerolling hits, rerolling wounds, devastating wounds, and then dealing 4 damage per swing.
Oh my god.
Like, at that point, you're just destroying knights.
Yeah,
Jesus
Christ.
It's totally worth the point cost. So moving on to strats, Monstrous Visage. During the shooting or fight phase, you basically get -1 to hit on any infantry unit that was selected. Okay. So just solid. Yeah, protective stuff. Yep. Masters are watching. This one is basically what we went over. Fight on death on a roll of 4 up.
Yeah, I want to say
yeah, I mean, I think CSM has a better reason to run these, because like a lot of your models, like say like your enhancements that you roll with bile was that +1 attack, right? Like you get a lot more mileage out of this if you actually make that roll. Now again, you're kind of 50-50ing it, which is the problem. I can see why people don't want to use this.
Yeah.
But like, I think you get a little bit of better mileage off of this detachment with it.
I think there are situations where fight on death is fine,
mm-hmm.
but I generally hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only time it's good is like, I think in World Eaters they have a 3+ fight on death. That's when it gets good, in my opinion.
I can be on board for 3+.
Yeah.
Or if it's already on the unit, but when I have to put a command point for it, that's when I'm like, never mind.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'd rather not.
So specimens for the spider, 2 CP. On the fight phase, you select one Astartes unit, infantry unit that has not been selected to fight. Each time it makes a melee attack that targets a character, you can reroll the wound roll. And if one or more character models were destroyed as a result of that, basically everything you select, sorry, not everything, you select one enemy unit within 6 inches and they take a battle shock test. Now if it was their warlord that was killed, each enemy within 6 takes a battle shock.
Oh,
So basically what you're saying is, yeah, basically what you're saying is, if you kill a character, you get to reroll the wound roll.
Yeah.
If that character was the warlord, everything around it takes a battle shock. So it's like a big fear type of thing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. 2 CP is a lot.
It's cool, but 2 CP is a bit. Yeah, it's a bit much. And it's so circumstantial, because it's like, maybe this is better justification to take that precision enhancement.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like paying 10 points for precision to maybe take out their warlord and maybe force battle shocks for 2 CPs. It's just like too many things laid on top of each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it is cool, and I think there's probably a situation in one game that you play out of 10 where you're like, oh, this actually is going to go really fucking hard right now.
Right.
But other than that,
the next one is delayed mutations, 2 CP again. But I think this one is pretty worth it. So on your command phase, one Heretic Astartes infantry suffers D3 mortal wounds, but then they get to choose an extra augmentation. So it's a lot like the Admech one, right? But instead of like giving it to one thing and then, you know, not taking the wounds, or giving it to something that already has it and then do take D3, this one is just take D3 because your entire army gets them.
yeah.
And then you have an extra augment, which like could be pretty nasty. I think like one of the best things that this detachment pushes, which is like, thank God, because they're probably my favorite models in CSM, is Possessed, because they took like a big nerf when the index came out, or when the codex came out from the index. But now you're talking about, you're able to give Possessed +1 attack and +1 strength.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the point where they like are hitting a lot of breakpoints, like a lot of breakpoints.
I just don't love that it will probably snipe one of them.
Yeah, that is a thing. But if you're getting +1 attack across your entire unit of Possessed, like say you take 10, you lose 1, sure, but now you're getting like 6 attacks net positive. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or something of the sort, just quick math.
It is good.
But,
I mean, I do like that. I love Possessed as well. So.
Right. So now you're like you're Possessed, like a stack of like 10 Possessed, right, would go from 4 attacks, so 40, to 5 attacks, so 50.
Oh my god.
And then you give them strength 6.
Oh boy.
So they're like wounding orc boys on 3s.
Yeah, orc boys.
They're wounding a lot of things on 3s. For some fucking reason. Yeah, and then AP 1 damage 2, like those things are going to shred. Yeah. They're going to destroy things in front of them. Glorious. And I think that's definitely worth maybe losing 1 Possessed. Maybe.
I mean,
like
you
have to
hit
hit
the 3.
and
then you're like, oh yeah, now we're in business.
Yeah.
You took one
right?
mortal wound to kill whatever it is that they were on. I like that.
Or you could do like, you know, say +1 move or something. Or like if you really want your Possessed to hit, give them the fucking 2+ weapon skill. Yeah. Just to make sure that they really get through. Like there's just so much things that you can slap on things to be like, hey, you do your job now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Next one is Diabolic Regeneration. You select the one Heretic Astartes infantry in your command phase, and you bring back 1 destroyed model. And then if it's battle line, D3 destroyed models. It's okay.
I like healing. I really like healing CP stratagems. I really like those.
I think it's good because Legionaries are like considered one of the better battle lines in the game. Yeah. Because they have really good OC re-rolling wounds on objective markers, and they have like pretty decent OC. So you just bring 1 back, and then you're like, hey, I get to re-roll more wounds. You know what I mean?
I mean, D3 Legionaries every turn is really good.
Yeah.
I really like. Yeah, but I like stuff like that.
Then the last one is auto stimulants. At the beginning of your charge phase, you get to declare a charge in a turn in which you advance. So now you get to advance your Possessed and then charge. It's advance and charge. Like, yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong.
It's never bad, right? It's.
Yeah, I mean, like your chosen already have it, so Possessed don't, right? Possessed can't be put on transports. The best that I can remember, I don't believe they can. So now you get to add 2-inch move. Say like when we were talking about giving them an extra buff, you get to give them +2 move, and now you get to give them advance and charge, and then you get to give them, I don't know, +1 attack or +1 strength on top of that. So now you're just like juicing the fuck out of your Possessed. Like overall, like.
And then they bash.
Creations of Bile is basically just saying, hey, that melee army that you really wanted, like here it is. You know what I mean? Because like Pack-Bound Zealots is a great way to do like a mixture of both. Renegade Raiders is kind of like both, but this one's really just like you're gonna go in and fuck shit up, unless you want to like do like a whole Abaddon Castle list with like the improved ballistic skill by one thing. But that would involve you taking Abaddon, and that means that you can't take bile for the reroll. So you're really just being like, I want the +1 ballistic skill. My detachment rule says +1 ballistic skill. But no, Creations of Bile seems really cool.
Yeah,
I haven't tried it yet, but I really want to because Possessed are my favorite, and Possessed seem really fucking good in this detachment. So like for me, this is like, I want to say a 9 because I really like Packbound Zealots.
Maybe we should play a game of you doing bile and I'll do Legions of Excess, because I think those are going to be our highest rated detachments here. We'll just see which is better.
Yeah, because whenever I fight Chaos against Nids, it's just like auto counter.
Yeah, I really,
like,
I don't know.
CSM is just really not good at Tyranid.
I don't even.
The thing is that
I don't know what it is.
It's because they hit so high. They hit so hard, but they don't hit very wide. So the moment that they get swarmed by like 20 Gaunts, short of Warp Talons, you're just kind of fucked.
Yeah, and I do love my Gaunts. I love my Gaunts. I would run 60 if I could justify it.
So, but yeah, that about wraps up at least the detachments that we play.
Yep.
A very in-depth look, at least from our perspective.
I think so, yeah.
Considering that there's like 28 armies in the game or some shit like that, it's really hard to like get into every single one of them. I could give you a rundown about something, but I wouldn't be able to tell you anything that I thoroughly understand, which is why we kind of stuck to what we understand. And it's probably good to know that, you know, especially with Legions of Excess, it's been a very prominent army. So it's been definitely one of the best. Right, yeah. So, yeah, so if they want to hear more from you, where can they find you?
You can find me primarily right now on Twitch. I stream under the Mantis 7. I am working on getting some Warhammer content onto my YouTube channel by the same name of the Mantis 7. I have a video coming up all about the Hormagod, my favorite unit in the game. That will be eventually. Well, now I have this recording software, so it's a lot faster now.
Yeah. And then of course you guys can find me at this channel. I'm also on X at the same name. I'm also trying to get the Twitch stream started as well. And we'll probably have some future projects where we do some battle reports, and you guys can tune into those, as well as those will be uploaded into the YouTube channel automatically through the streams. Last thing I want to plug here is definitely, again, if you haven't checked them out, go check out kitto.paint. They did the background for this channel. Like all the art, really. The art is so like good. Yeah, no, it's fucking incredible. And I'm sure that they would be happy to get some support. I think their commissions are still open, so maybe you can get them to draw a little Skitarii for you or two, or I don't know, some flamer of the little Gaunt that we have here. They did a really good job with it. I love them so much. Yeah. The second one that I'd like to plug is the person who gives me all the music for the channel, Archotechna. I've already linked him a couple of times he's always on the beginning of my videos, but go give him a listen. It's very Admech inspired, and specifically Mechanicus inspired soundtracks, which most people agree is the best soundtrack of like most 40k in general. So yeah, go check them out. I think they have a Ko-Fi. Maybe go throw them some money and give them some support. Bar that, I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah, I think that's everything.
Yeah, so thank you for watching. If you guys like this content, please be sure to support it. Let's drop something in the comments. Tell us how stupid we are and how bad our takes are. Yeah,
tell me why Warrior Bioform is actually good.
Yeah, and why you should not take Gaunt and instead you should take 30-something warriors.
I will never ever listen to that argument. I don't even know how you would argue that. I am excited to see it.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you'll see him foaming at the mouth in the comments section trying to defend his favorite unit.
Yeah. Holding my boys.
Yeah. So with that, guys, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
Thank you very much. See you.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
A big thank you to all my Patreons for supporting my work, and a special thanks to the Fabricator tier in Sig Lawson Jr., Makito, and Tech Priest Warren. Thank you very much for your support, guys. I'll see you next time.